All right, this is going to be an overview of all of Voiceflow's important features from top to bottom. We're going to go over rapid design and prototyping, how we manage context and our context model, collaboration, as well as logic and being able to use live data through APIs. All right, so let's dive in. We have a lot to go over. The first thing to note is Voiceflow is a visual way to design, prototype, and build conversations for conversational assistants. It comes with Alexa and Google out of the box. However, Voiceflow does support custom assistants as well as any NLP or NLU platform. That's with Voiceflow Enterprise. You can essentially integrate with any tech stack you would like. So the first thing is Voiceflow is a highly interactive design and prototyping canvas, very similar to a Sketch, Figma, or Adobe XD. If we want to go ahead and actually build out our conversation, I've already built something here, as you can tell. I've got this project called Voiceflow Pizza, which is a pizza ordering app. I can actually go over to our left bar here, and we can drag out some steps to actually start building our conversation. So we could say, "Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza." We can then hear how that sounds on the assistant. And again, we're using Alexa right now, but Voiceflow does support any custom TTS voice.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza.
If we have a bunch of different TTS voices, depending on the engine we're using, we can also select that from the dropdown. I'm just using Alexa and Amazon Polly voices right now. If we want to go ahead and actually apply an SSML effect, we can do that as well. So I can change the speech rate to very fast.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza.
There we go. So that's how we can go ahead and do that. Now, the best part about Voiceflow is the ability to go rapidly between designing and prototyping. So right there, I was building out our flow. If I want to lock that sidebar in place, we have all these different steps that we can use, lots of different functionality. And once we're ready to actually test it out, we can go ahead and switch to our prototyping tab. So I'm actually going to go ahead and link this up here so that we get to hear that sound or that response play.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What will you have today?
Great. And so when I'm actually prototyping in the browser, I can use either voice input or text input. So I can hold the spacebar and say, I want a large cheese pizza for delivery.
Great. I have a large cheese pizza for delivery. Is this correct?
You can see there we jumped into a subflow, and the prototyping tool is actually following along with our canvas, which is great. You can also see there, this is not a hard-coded prototype. This is not just sort of a design that has fixed values. This is actually fully dynamic. As you see, we have size, type, and method there for our slots. And once we pick those up, we're actually able to go ahead and use them, which is great. So I can go back to design and go back to our home flow here. And you can see how fast you can quickly switch between designing and rapidly prototyping. That's really great. If we go up into the top right, we can actually get a shareable link as well, and this is going to allow us to share our prototypes with others who don't even need a Voiceflow account. They don't need any sort of Alexa, Google, or custom assistant account. They can just try out your prototype right in the browser with that testable link. Further, if you want to go ahead and actually upload to your selected development environment, so again, right now we're developing for Alexa, but again, it does support a platitude of different assistants. You can actually just go ahead and hit upload to Alexa, and this will generate all of the different, it'll generate the interaction model on the front end that can then be run on our runtime, which is great. So this allows you to either go ahead and publish straight to production, or you can actually test this on your device. So maybe you have an embedded device, maybe it's something in car or on a custom speaker, or it's just Alexa and Google. You can actually go ahead and run those on device. Great, so that is Voiceflow's code generation and rapid design and prototyping. The next thing we're going to want to do is actually go ahead and start to show off the intents and slots. So Voiceflow runs on the intent and slots model system. And so if I actually go into our bottom left here, you'll see here's our model. You can actually open up these different utterances, so intents. So right now I have the order pizza intent. And I've got just a bunch of different utterances here. And if I actually want to create a new utterance with potentially even a new slot, I could say I am, and then maybe the user gives us their name. So I can just go ahead. I can select the name slot from the dropdown, and I already had an utterance there with that. And I want a size, etc., and you'd build out that utterance. When you're building a new slot, you can either do that in here, or you can also go over to our slots tab here, and you can go ahead and see all the different custom slot types available to you. In some platforms, slots are called entities, but you get the gist. So I've got a bunch of different slot types here. Most of these are custom slots, and then I have one which is a default slot type by Amazon. Again, if you're using a custom assistant, you'll have the default slots that are available to whatever platform you're using. If you have a really big slot, or the same thing with intents and utterances, often it's not feasible to go ahead and manually write, even 22 utterances, and often you have thousands. And in this case, you can actually just bulk import a CSV, and that will allow you to drop in, thousands and thousands of utterances, slot synonyms, anything you need to build a really robust model, you're able to do here. So that's great. So the next thing I want to go over is the difference between open and closed intents open and closed prompts in Voiceflow. So here you can see I've got a flowchart line right here from our invocation. So Alexa, open Voiceflow Pizza, goes into, hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza, how can we help? Down here, because this is, I've got a truck passing by. Down here, because this is an open prompt, how can I help? Sort of an open-ended question. We actually don't have any flowchart lines, and instead we are leaving it open to the user to give us whatever intent they want. So how I've structured this project is I have two top-level intents. I have order pizza and cancel order, and these can be activated by the user when we ask this open question. You could imagine if we want to extend this app, though, to have dozens or potentially even more than that open intents or top-level intents, we could go ahead and do so. We would just continue to follow the structure of having an intent and then go into our flow. So if I was to actually go into, let's say, order confirmation here, you'll see here that I do have some flowchart lines. And the reason for this is Voiceflow allows you to switch between open and closed prompts. So in an open prompt, something like, how can I help you? What we want to do is allow the user to have that flexibility for the conversation and then go wherever. But at some points, we want to limit the choices they have to a set number of choices. So actually a good example here would be if I was to go into our payment flow, we ask the user debit or credit. That is a closed prompt. How will you be paying today? Actually, I probably should have had that response be a little bit more clear as, will you be paying with debit or credit? In that case, we would have the two different options available to the user. In Voiceflow, we're using a closed prompt here, so you actually have these lines available to us, and based off what the user says, we can go ahead and draw our lines to actually connect our conversation. So the main point I'm trying to highlight here is Voiceflow has two different styles of how you can manage prompts. You have open, which is going to be very much free-floating. There's no lines connecting anything. It's all based off the user's intention. And then you have a closed model, which is very much like a flowchart model, and that's what most designers are designing with. But Voiceflow does give you the flexibility to jump back and forth between those two different styles of prompts as it's appropriate for the design. Great. So next thing I want to jump into is conversational components. You've already kind of seen this. They're called flows. If I was to go into our left bar here, you can see I've got a bunch of different flows available, so I can jump into the store hours flow or the payment flow, help flow, stop flow. We've got lots of different flows here, and each of these is a way to not only modularize your project, but also to give it context. But we will go into that second point in a bit. So if I was to go into our steps and pull out a flow, you can drag that in there. You'll see right underneath order confirmation. So once the user's done their order confirmation, what do we want them to do? We can actually just select an existing flow. So if we want them to now go through the payment flow, and boom, that's it. So it's a completely reusable component, makes it really easy for you to quickly build apps based on pre-built components that your team has created or you've created. And so in this case, the user is going to go through the order confirmation flow, then they're going to go through the payment flow, then they're going to go through the payment flow again. Probably should delete this step actually. There we go. But that is how you can actually go ahead and use flows. And another cool thing is if I was to go into the payment flow, flows can also have their own flows as well. So you can have a really sort of deep context model And so in this case, for example, if the user says help, they're going to get help that's specific to payments, but we will go into that later. That is conversational components. Now we want to go into context looping. And so this is a bit more of an advanced feature in Voiceflow. You can think of context looping as being able to loop between different prime contexts. So a prime context being sort of the top level intent. So the user wants to order pizza, but in the middle of ordering pizza, they want to ask, well, what are your store hours? We want to be able to go answer that question and then bring the user right back to where they were in the prime context, as the user doesn't want to have a conversation about store hours. It was just sort of a one-off quick question that they had. So then after that question's fulfilled, we want to bring them back to their prime context. That would be different than a context switch, which is when you want to make a full context switch. So an example of that might be if the user is ordering their pizza, that's their prime context. And when they switch over to canceling their order, they no longer want to come back to ordering the pizza, as obviously they're canceling their order. The prime context of the conversation has switched. So that's a full jump. So we're going to go over these two concepts really quick. To manage context loops in Voiceflow, we have this system called commands. These are essentially flows that are specific to each flow that you're on. So right now we are on the home flow or the root flow of the conversation. And we have a bunch of different commands that I've already built out. So we have stop, help, store hours, and close the app. If I was to go into store hours here, if the user at any point asks, what are your hours? We're going to say we are open all the time, every day. And then it's going to bring us right back to where the user was in the conversation. So let's go ahead and actually try that out.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What will you have today?
Oh, I have that SSML playing way too fast, but that's okay. So I can say, I want a large cheese pizza for pickup.
Great. I have a large cheese pizza for pickup. Is this correct?
So now I can say store hours.
We are open all the time, every day. I have a large cheese pizza for pickup. Is this correct?
Great. So you can see we were able to jump out of the context, answer that question, and then bring the user right back to where they were in the ordering flow here. So that is the ability to do context loops. You can go do something and come right back. And this doesn't just have to be sort of a simple FAQ. This can be a really complex entire interaction, but at the end of it, it will loop back to where the user was in the prime context, with the exception of if you do choose to sort of force stop it, you can do that as well. So you do have some flexibility there. However, the default functionality for a command is to loop back to the prime context. Great. So if I go back to our design here, I want to quickly show off context switching. So in this case, if the user is in the order pizza flow and they actually want to go ahead and start their order again, we have this intent up here with the start again, just a couple different sample utterances in here. And so at any point in the app, if the user activates this intent, we're just going to start at the beginning of the project again. So let's go ahead and do this.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What can I get for you?
And so in this case, if I just say start again.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What can I get for you?
That's a really simple example, but you can imagine that would work for if you were in order pizza and you wanted to suddenly cancel your order or place a new order or start again. You are able to jump around in the conversation and sort of do full context switches. Great, so that is context looping and context switching. The next example we're going to want to go over is contextualized intents. And so an example of this would be if the user is to come into our project and they were to say help. So for example, with this help intent right here, we have a command for it. We're going to give them a very general help message. We're going to say, you said help, do you want to continue the experience? If they say no, we're going to end it. If they say yes, we're actually just going to go right back to the prime context they're in. So we're going to do a full loop. However, if they were in the payment flow and the user is to say help, it's the exact same intent here. We're using the help intent. We actually want to serve them a contextualized help prompt. So if your card is expired, please pay by cash instead at delivery. So I can show how this works now.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What can I get for you?
So I'm going to say help, and we're going to activate this sort of generalized help because that's the flow we're on.
You said help. Do you want to continue the experience?
I'm going to say yes.
What can I get for you?
I want a large cheese pizza for pickup.
Great. I have a large cheese pizza for pickup. Is this correct?
Say yes.
How will you be paying today?
And so now, if I say help,
If your card is expired, please pay by cash instead at delivery. How will you be paying today?
great. So you can see up ahead here, all we said was help. We got, you said help, do you want to continue the experience? So that was not contextualized. It was just sort of, well, it was contextualized to our very root flow, which is the help flow. And then once we were actually in the payment flow, when we said help, the exact same utterance, we got a different response because we are in a different flow that is contextualized. And again, because flows can be layered, you can theoretically have 100 different responses to help based on the very specific context that the user is currently in using Voiceflow. So that's great. That is contextualized intents. And one last thing I'm going to quickly point out earlier is in the previous example, I was actually in the payment flow when I activated the store hours intent. And you'll notice that the store hours intent, if I go back to our home flow here, is in the home flow. And so how Voiceflow's context model works is it is a layering system where when the user is deep in a subflow, so maybe they're 2 layers deep, it will default to whatever intent is closest to it. So for example, in the one we just did, we had help that was 2 sublayers deep. It activated the closest help intent to it. So the help intent that was on the current flow it was on. However, if we did not have a help intent on that sort of lowest subflow, it would pop back up, check the next flow. Is there a help intent here? Nope. Okay, we're going to go higher up in the flow. And so it allows you to have this waterfall context system so that you don't have to create a new command, like for example, like store hours for every single flow. Instead, you can just have one that is generalized to the whole app. However, if you do want to add those localized intents, that localized context, such as what we did with help, you can do that using Voiceflow's context model. Great. So now we're going to go into dialog management, and this is a pretty big feature of this particular app. And so what dialog management is if we go into our order pizza intent here, you'll see we have a bunch of different utterances, and we have a couple of different slots. So we have 4 in particular. We have name, we have size, type, and method. Now, when we're ordering a pizza, we probably don't need the user's name, but what we do need is we need their size, type, and method. So we need the size of the pizza, the type of the pizza they want, and the method, so whether it's pickup or delivery. So if I go down to the bottom here, and you'll see our slots, we can actually define these as required or non-required. And so in this case, I have size, type, and method as required. And so if I was to go into this, if the user does not give us the size of the pizza, we're going to go ahead and automatically ask them what size pizza. Then if they ask us for the, if they don't give us the type, we're going to ask for the type. If they don't give us method, we're going to ask for method, etc. If they give us name, we are not going to ask for it if they don't give it to us, but we will capture it if they do give it to us. And so it allows us to do some overfilled slots. So I'll give an example of why that's important in a second. But for now, just to sort of summarize this, Voiceflow's dialog management system, it allows you to essentially do slot fulfillment really easily. You don't have to create a bunch of branching paths to show all the different ways that you need to actually go ahead and do slot filling. In this case, we can just do, if they don't give us size, but they do give us type and method, just ask for size. If they give us all 3, don't ask for any of them, of course, and just move on with the interaction. That's what I've been doing in all our demos so far. And if they give us none of these, actually ask for them in this particular order. So these can actually be reordered, and so I'm going to ask for size, type, method. So you can imagine if you had maybe payment was the first thing you want to ask for, or the last thing, you could reorder it like that as well. So let's actually dive in and show how that works.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What can I get for you?
I want a pizza. Oh, I don't know if I have that utterance right now. Let's actually go ahead and see if I have that utterance. I want a pizza. Oh, I did not. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and try that again.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What will you have today?
I want a pizza.
What size pizza?
There you go. So you see it's asking for size, so we'll give it size.
What type of pizza?
And if we give it pepperoni.
Is this for pickup or delivery?
Great, so it's running us through the slot fulfillment. Now if we were to do that again here.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. What can I get for you?
Now I'm going to say, I want a large pepperoni pizza.
Is this for pickup or delivery?
And there, because we give it size and we give it type, it only is going to ask for pickup or delivery. If I try this one more time, now I'm going to give it all 3.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. How can I help?
I want a large pepperoni pizza for delivery.
Great. I have a large pepperoni pizza for delivery. Is this correct?
And so because it gave us everything we needed, it just moved on in the interaction. So that is dialogue management built within Voiceflow. It's really, really useful. Great. So the last feature that I want to go over when it comes to sort of really good design practices within Voiceflow is reprompting. So of course, we have sort of the happy path laid out here, but this is not always going to be what happens. And this is what dialogue management helps with, but it's also what reprompting helps with. So down here we have how can I help, and then we're asking an open prompt. If we actually go in here, we can set up our reprompts. And so in here we can actually set up escalating reprompts. And so I can say, please tell us how we can help. Then we can go, please order a pizza or cancel an order. We're using the narrowing principle here, and then we'll just say bye for now. So if the user doesn't match with any of our available intents the first time, we're going to say please tell us how we can help. Then if they don't match again, we're going to say please order a pizza or cancel an order, and then lastly we're going to say bye for now. We can actually go ahead and randomize those reprompts, or if we were to go into the prompt here, we can also add a no reply response. So that's if the user says nothing. We can actually go ahead and add one of these as well. And so in this case, we'll say, are you still there? Actually, we should probably not do a double prompt. We'll say, please order a pizza. Great, so now we have a no reply response, and so we're handling both error handling cases here. We are saying if the user doesn't say anything, we're going to give them the no reply response. If they say something but it's not matching any of our available intents within context, then we're going to start putting them down this escalating reprompt path. Now the great thing is this is specific to just this intent, and so you don't have to have sort of a generalized reprompt system app-wide. You can really personalize it per intent that you're working on. And so let's actually go ahead and try that out now.
Hi, welcome to Voiceflow Pizza. How can I help?
So I'm just going to type pineapple because I don't think I have an utterance for pineapple.
Please tell us how we can help.
If I say pineapple a second time,
Please order a pizza or cancel an order.
You'll see the reprompts come in there. Now, it's kind of harder to test no reply response, as Voiceflow's prototyping tab will wait infinitely for you, but if you were to do that on device or within the development environment you're using, that no reply response will kick in. Great, so that is error handling in Voiceflow. You can imagine this is just for sort of reprompts and error paths on a per intent level. Actually, I forgot one thing. So this is only for open intents. We have the reprompt. We actually have a lot more flexibility if we go into our payment flow. You have two different types of reprompts. And so if I was to go into our choice step here, the choice steps are the closed prompts. They actually have two different types of error handling. So one is they have the automated reprompts, the exact same as our open prompts have, but they can also do a path reprompt as well. And so in this case, it's the reprompts here will say if the user doesn't match any of the available in-context intents, then give them these reprompts. But the path type of reprompt, which is only available on the closed prompt, which is the choice, this will actually give us the ability to say if the user doesn't match any of our contextually available intents, just go elsewhere. So go down this particular path, and you can actually lead them to a different place. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility there, whether you want to do escalating reprompts or whether you want to just lead them to a different point in the conversation altogether. Great, so that is error handling and reprompting. Next thing we want to go into is some of the collaboration features in Voiceflow. All right, now we're going to go over some of the collaboration features available in Voiceflow. So we do have a lot, so I'm going to start rattling them off. First is when you go to the top right, you are able to share a downloadable project link, a testable prototype link, as well as export your canvas to both image and PDF, which is great. From there, you can also invite people to join your workspace to collaborate with you. You can see I've got a couple of folks here, and I can either put in their email. I can then toggle the permissions, so do I want them to have edit access or just view access. I can either put in their email, or I can also just send them an invite link as well. I'm going to show off real-time collaboration in a second, but I need to actually split my browser to do so, so I'm going to do that last. Next thing we want to go over is the ability to add markup to the canvas. You can already see it. We have images, we have labels right on the canvas, so if I was to double-click this, I'm now in markup mode, and then from here, I can go ahead and I can add labels to the canvas. You can see I've got this right here. I can go ahead and I can add images to the canvas. As you can see, I've added. I can also make this into a hyperlink, which is what I have down here. I can change the fonts, the images. Really just gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to design the canvas to have additional context for stakeholders. So for example, I've got this little bar down here with a label and for top level intents. It just makes your canvas a lot more readable to someone coming in. And also we see a lot of customers actually linking to their Jira docs, persona guides, sample dialogues, just linking to their external tools so that Voiceflow actually is able to act as a single source of truth for your team. So that is great. So that's canvas markup, and that's available in the bottom left here in your canvas controls. You can go in and you can add labels and things, as well as links and images to the canvas. And we have a lot more coming in this with this feature as well. You can envision this as being a whiteboard available on your canvas. So we're going to be adding shapes, lots of rotation features, different text resizings, text box resizing. Lots of great things are on the way. So that is canvas markup, and again, you can also imagine that pairs really well when you're exporting to a PDF. The next thing we're going to want to show off here is commenting. And so if I was to actually open up this project, I can go in and I can leave a comment somewhere. So I can go in, I can say, this looks great, and then I can also tag a teammate. So I've got a couple different teammates in this workspace. I can tag Nicholas here, send that off, and that's actually going to send Nicholas an email as well. So he's going to be notified that I came in here and I said this looks great. The comments will resize on the canvas as well. If I want to go in, and you could actually put a different thread, so it'd be like, this is a thread test. Go ahead and do that. If I want to go ahead and edit a previous comment, maybe add a period and say this is a test, I could go ahead and add that edit. And then once maybe Nicholas has responded, I've made the changes that are needed, I can go ahead and I can actually mark this as resolved. And if we go into our thread editor here, you'll see all the available comment threads. I have nothing in open, but if I go into resolved, I can go ahead, I can see past threads, and if I want to mark that as unresolved, it's going to hop back onto the canvas, and you'll see that in your open threads. So if I want to create another thread here, I can say this is another thread. You'll now see that in our thread editor, and you can sort of pop between these, which is great. One last feature, which is really nice, is we have a really robust anchoring system in Voiceflow. So you can see with our comments here, this one is currently anchored just to a point on the canvas, whereas this one is on the block itself, but we can also anchor this to the step. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and anchor this one to the block, and this one's going to be on the step. And what this is going to allow us to do is show off how Voiceflow does anchoring. So if I pull this out, and then I move this one down, we open back up our comments, you'll see that this is anchored appropriately. This one's on the block, and this one is on the step. So that's a great way to either have points just directly on the canvas, so just sort of free-floating comments, or anchor them specifically to specific blocks or steps. Great, so that is commenting in Voiceflow. I'm actually going to hop into our workspace now. So if we go into the top left, you'll see we are on a workspace here with a bunch of different projects. And so each of these is a different project that I can hop into. So maybe I can hop into this Mia project, which is great. Or I can hop back out. And so each of these is a different project. Voiceflow's workspaces are organized into a Kanban model, and so I can actually move my projects around, and I can relabel them. So right now this is in progress, finished demos, and in review. Just allows your team to have a simpler workflow. If I want to go ahead and create a new list, I can do that here. And then in our top right, we can actually go in and we can add different collaborators. So we have Nicholas, Andrew, Rob, and myself right now in this workspace, and we all have permissions to go in and either view, edit, comment, just sort of try out the prototypes for all of the workspaces all of the projects in our workspace here. You can also move these around in our Kanban, of course. And then what's also nice about workspaces is each workspace is completely separate. So You can see I have a bunch of different workspaces here, which is great. And so I can actually dive in between them. So I can go into our templates workspace. I can go up to the top and I can go into our community workspace. I've got a lot of flexibility for how I want to organize my team's work. So maybe I want to have separate teams and they all have separate workspaces. Maybe I want to have everyone in one combined workspace. That's completely up to you in how you organize your team's work. Great, so I'm going to open up a second browser tab so I can show off real-time collaboration. So here we can actually see real-time collaboration, and so you can actually see I have two different windows open here just to simulate this, and you can see on my left screen there, you can see the collaboration arrow of my right screen, and I can actually go in, I can make changes, which is great. If I wanted to go ahead and actually add some steps to the canvas, so add that in. You'll actually see the links being updated in real time as well. So very similar to a program like a Figma or a Miro, you have that ability to have many different collaborators on the canvas at the same time using Voiceflow. All right, so the last few features we're going to go over really quickly here is the ability to have all of your intents in one place. And I already kind of showed this off previously, but if I was to go in here, you can see I have all of my different intents and slots in one place. And so this is our interaction model, and we will be offering a response export fairly soon as well. So the ability to actually export not just your interaction model, but also the responses to the copy of your prompts, etc., within your project. So that's great. So that's our interaction model editor. The next thing I want to go over is the ability to have live data and variables, as well as conditional statements. And so if I was to go into here, move this over, I can actually set up conditional statements. And so I can go in here and I can say if the user's session, so if session was equal to 1, then we're going to walk them through this path, and if it's maybe equal to 5, and so we can set up another variable here. If it's equal to 5, then we're going to walk them down here. And you can create some really complex statements, and again, this is all using the variable system within Voiceflow. If I was to pull in a set, you can also just set the value of a variable as well. We give some default variables depending on the platform you're on, so whether it's a timestamp, locale of the user, their account ID, user ID, the number of sessions they have. Some of these are already given. And you can also see we have these slots here as well. So we have size, type, and method. So we actually allow you to use slots in your conditionals as well, not just variables. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility to have some really powerful logical statements. If I go down to the bottom here, you can also write custom JavaScript right in Voiceflow. And so if you wanted to actually have your developer come in here, and you can use even external libraries as well. So I believe it's required from, nope. So anyways, you can use external libraries as well. And so you can do a lot of powerful things in Voiceflow, essentially just by having lots of different custom code snippets all linked together, where Voiceflow is adding that collaboration and visualization wrapper on top. Last thing in terms of power is the ability to actually use custom APIs within Voiceflow as well. And so this allows you to have full REST functionality. You can put in your headers, your params, and then you can actually capture the values from APIs that you're pulling from. So you can actually pull those into variables, which is what you can see here. So that allows you to, just a quick summary, we've got variables, we've got conditional statements, the ability to write custom code, and the ability to hit custom APIs. We also have things like webhooks and lots of other sort of custom code and integration flexibility. Lots of those features are coming. Okay, great. So that is all of the main features in Voiceflow that are used for design and prototyping. One fun fact about Voiceflow is because we actually do the code generation, which is what I showed before, we are also able to, for some platforms, be able to publish directly to the live development environment or even the live platform. So for example, with Alexa and Google, you can actually go into our build tab and you can publish a live app directly to the Amazon Alexa skill store or the Google Actions store. And with custom assistants, we have the same capability as long as we have an integration with them or the platform has some sort of open API that we can hit. Most of the time you can just sort of export a JSON, and that allows you to bypass this step, but sometimes we actually can publish directly from inside Voiceflow if those APIs are available. Great, so that is the Voiceflow platform overview. I went over a ton of functionality. Hopefully this was helpful in just giving you an idea of some of the things that Voiceflow is capable of. I didn't even scratch the surface with some of the possibilities of visuals, payments, custom account linking, and things like that. That will have to be for another video, but I hope this was helpful. Cheers.